Hey everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. We're going to be diving into the world of gene editing today with Editas Medicine.
Okay.
You've been looking into them, and there's this recent deal they made
Yeah.
that's really caught everyone's attention, and it kind of gives us a peek behind the curtain of this cutting-edge industry.
Yeah, this is what's really interesting is we get to see the strategic decisions being made in a field that's as complex and potentially groundbreaking as gene editing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about like routine business here.
Yeah.
Editas decided to sell off future payments owed to them by Vertex Pharmaceuticals for a cool $57 million.
Wow.
Now, that's a hefty sum even in the world of biotech.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's even more significant when you think about the fact that this isn't like a typical investment, right? What Editas did was they essentially sold a portion of their potential future income for immediate cash.
Okay, so let's break this down for a second.
Sure.
Why would they make that trade-off? Why choose a guaranteed payout now versus potentially bigger rewards down the line?
Yeah, that's where the CEO, Gilmore O'Neill, comes in.
Okay.
He's framed this as a strategic move to fuel what he calls the company's pipeline development.
Okay, pipeline development.
Yeah.
What exactly does that even mean?
So it's essentially a company's roadmap for developing new drugs and therapies.
Okay.
So by getting this $57 million now, Editas is basically saying, we've got other irons in the fire, other potentially groundbreaking therapies we need to invest in right now.
So this isn't just another financial transaction.
Oh.
It's like we're getting a glimpse into these high-stakes choices
Right.
that these companies have to make in the gene editing world.
Yeah.
Which begs the question, why does this even matter to our listeners?
Well, because you have to remember, Editas isn't just any biotech company, right? They're working with CRISPR-Cas9,
Right.
which is a revolutionary gene editing technology, and this deal kind of gives us a hint at the financial realities of bringing these therapies to the world.
CRISPR, that's the technology with the potential to cure genetic diseases.
Exactly. We're talking about potentially curing things like sickle cell disease and beta thalassemia.
Wow.
These are serious, life-altering conditions that could be treated in entirely new ways because of this technology.
So this isn't just theoretical then?
No, not at all. In fact, Vertex, the company Editas made this deal with, has already developed a drug
Right.
using this very gene editing technique.
Wow, so it's already being used.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And this deal kind of gives us a look into the business side of these breakthroughs.
Yeah.
The strategies involved in actually getting these treatments out of the lab and to the people who desperately need them.
So let's dive into the specifics of this deal a little bit more.
Yeah.
Could you walk us through who the key players are and what each of them gets out of this agreement?
For sure. It all starts with Editas Medicine.
Okay.
They're the innovators in this case. They're the ones who hold the patents to this very specific and incredibly valuable type of CRISPR technology. They're like the architects who designed the blueprint for a groundbreaking new building,
Okay.
And then,
And then we have Vertex Pharmaceuticals, so they're kind of like the construction company in this whole analogy.
yeah.
They've licensed that blueprint that Editas came up with, and now they're putting it into action. They're working to develop these groundbreaking therapies.
Exactly. Vertex sees the potential of this technology, and they want to use it to create treatments that could really transform patient care.
And then finally, we have the investor in this whole thing, DRI Healthcare Trust.
Right.
They're the ones who gave that $57 million in funding to Editas.
So yeah, they're essentially acting like a venture capitalist, right?
Yeah.
They're placing a bet on the success of Vertex and on gene editing as a whole.
It's wild how these deals bring together these innovators, these developers, and then you have the investors all playing a critical role in getting these treatments, these potentially life-saving treatments into the hands of patients.
It's a whole ecosystem, and this deal reveals some interesting strategies. For example, by taking this upfront payment, Editas is tapping into something called non-dilutive capital.
Non-dilutive capital.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to admit, that sounds a bit like financial jargon to me.
It does, doesn't it?
Can you break it down?
Yeah, so basically, Editas needs money, right, to keep the lights on, fund their research, pay their scientists.
Sure.
And they could get that money by selling more shares of their company, but the problem with that is they would be giving away more control.
Right.
Non-dilutive capital is different. It lets them secure that funding without having to dilute their ownership stake.
So it's like getting a loan almost. But instead of paying back the money with interest, they're saying, we'll give you a piece of the potential profits from this technology in exchange for this cash right now.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And it lets them retain more control over their future as they keep developing these other promising therapies.
But there's always a trade-off, right? They're giving up some of the potential future profits from the treatments Vertex develops.
Yeah, for sure. It's a calculated risk. What they're doing is they're essentially betting that the other projects in their pipeline, the ones they're going to use this $57 million to fund, will be even more successful than what Vertex is doing.
Makes you wonder, what does this tell us about their confidence in those other projects? Are they sitting on something even bigger than we realize?
It's definitely possible. I mean, you have to remember that Editas has this exclusive license to a very specific type of CRISPR technology. It's like owning the patent on some revolutionary new engine. The possibilities are huge.
And that's what's so exciting about this whole field, right? This potential to like completely reshape how we think about medicine.
Absolutely. But it's not without its challenges. And I think this deal highlights one of the big ones, this financial tightrope these companies have to walk.
Yeah, drug development is not cheap.
No, it's not.
And with something as groundbreaking as CRISPR, there are bound to be hurdles.
Yeah.
Unexpected results, maybe even some failures along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's high risk, high reward. And for Editas, this upfront money gives them a bit of a safety net.
Okay.
Even if Vertex's treatments don't become the huge success that everyone's hoping for, they've still got this cash to keep investing in these other projects.
So they've mitigated some of the risk that comes with this type of research, but do you think this will become a trend? Will we see more gene editing companies going for these kinds of deals?
It's possible, especially if investors keep pouring money into the sector. It could become a way for companies to fund their work without constantly worrying about where that next round of funding is going to come from.
Which could be good, right? More funding, faster development of these life-saving treatments.
It could be, yeah. But it also brings up some bigger questions about, the whole gene editing landscape.
Yeah.
Like if this does become the norm, who really benefits in the end?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
We don't want a future where only the wealthy can afford these life-changing therapies.
Exactly. We're talking about potentially life-altering treatments here, and we need to make sure everyone has access to them.
Right.
Not just the people who can afford some hefty price tag.
Absolutely. It's a conversation we need to be having now.
Right.
As this stuff is being developed, we need to ensure equitable access right from the start. For sure. For sure. It's like we're laying the foundation for a more just and equitable future.
Yeah.
When it comes to healthcare.
Yeah. Well, it's important to remember that we're not financial advisors or anything.
Of course. Of course.
This isn't financial advice. The stock market is notoriously unpredictable.
Totally.
There are so many factors that can influence a company's stock price.
So even though this deal sounds like a win for Editas, it's not a sure thing for investors.
Exactly. Investors are basically betting on the future.
Okay.
They're betting that Editas will take this money and use it to develop even more successful therapies down the line. Yeah. Therapies that are going to bring in big returns, but, there are no guarantees in this field.
Not at all. It's high risk, high reward, just like the gene editing science itself.
Exactly.
It's kind of exciting, though.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that's what makes it so interesting to watch. This deal, it's not just about one company or one treatment.
Right.
It's like a tiny example of the bigger trends that are shaping the future of gene editing.
Yeah. It's like we're seeing a huge moment in the history of medicine unfolding right in front of us.
Yeah.
And even though we can't predict exactly what will happen, it's clear that gene editing is here to stay, and it has the potential to completely change healthcare as we know it.
I totally agree. And I'm really excited to see where it goes from here.
Me too. It's been awesome having you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Your insights have been so valuable.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Really appreciate it. And to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has given you a lot to think about. This whole conversation raises a pretty big question. In the world of cutting-edge medicine, where these amazing breakthroughs happen so fast, is it riskier to bet on the future or to just take what you can get right now? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on social media and tell us your thoughts. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.